Hello, I am Lisa J. Stocks, and let's get ready for this week's stock episode. And let's start off with looking at the Fear and Greed Index. We have a big week ahead of us with four of the Mag 7 reporting earnings. But let's take a look at this first. The Fear and Greed Index is currently at 39. So that's showing us that the market is leaning towards fear. And what that means is investors are nervous. And this happens, well, this gauge right here is based on when the S&P 500 is trading, where it's trading compared to its price over the last 6 months. So, when it's over its average, people feel more comfortable. And when it drops, that's when investors start to pull back. So I don't bring this up every week, but this is something that you can use to help you to know what overall sentiment is when it comes to the stock market. Now, as I was saying already, the Mag 7, these are those Mag 7 companies, and out of them, we have four of them having earnings coming up this week. Show more. Let's see. We have Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, and Meta. So we're going to talk a little bit about them today. But before we get into that, and I posted the earnings calendar on my community wall. I try to do that every week unless there's really not much of anything to talk about. But this is definitely not a week where I would skip it. So when it comes to the S&P 500, that is a way that everyone should feel comfortable with investing. You don't have to incorporate individual stocks in order to build a portfolio. There are many ETFs and index funds that, of course, are going to hold these names because these are mega cap companies. They have, they're at the top of what we're seeing as far as companies with the largest market cap in the US. So these are going to be leaders in many of our funds. Whether you like it or not, you are invested most likely into these companies right here. So out of those companies, everything is here is in the top 7 of these names. But this is an index that's been around for a long time. So anyone, and I'm not talking about a 3-year time span or definitely not a 3-month time span, but investing long term, you can't, historically, you cannot lose money by investing and holding long term when it comes to investing into a total stock market or the S&P 500. You just have to give it time. Investing and building wealth does not happen overnight, but it's something that you can really reap the rewards of by continuing to build into your portfolio. Now, Warren Buffett's advice is definitely to have investments into funds. And then he's all about finding those quality companies at those good prices. And that is something that we definitely could have the potential of finding this week because of, like I said, those earnings upcoming and seeing where the fear index is already. Now, let me give it, I want to show you something. Let me go back. It's just to highlight, well, maybe I didn't put it in here. I don't think I did. Okay. Maybe it was in here already. No, it's not. Yeah, it has to be. Oh, here we go. Okay. So when I'm talking to people one-on-one or when I have opportunities like this, I like to give longer time frames of the movement of the stock market to really prove what I'm saying of holding long term. You can't miss out. Now, this is not financial advice. Past performance does not indicate future performance, but by looking at something like this, it should be able to show you that you may have to hold through a rough period like we had in 2020, 2022, 2008, but what comes after it? The market recovers when you are not just investing into one company. And saying, thousands of companies have a ticker symbols. They are available to you to invest into, but not everything is an investment. But when you buy into an index fund or exchange traded funds, you're not betting on one company. And if you get a diverse grouping like you're going to get with the S&P 500, you're going to be on track to be able to see your portfolio grow. And when you go through those rough periods, have confidence of the recovery. So let's see. Historically, you can't go wrong. Now, back to the companies having earnings this week. I have ETFs, mutual funds. I have exposure to all of them there, but these are companies that I also invest into individually because I got to the point where I became comfortable with choosing individual stocks and wanting to get that additional growth potential when it comes to my portfolio. And I don't worry about the share price. I've shared that before. I don't try to find the next best thing because I think something like Microsoft is too expensive when it comes to my portfolio. What I do is I just invest what I have, whatever, even if it's $5, small amounts when it comes to flexible accounts, because those are something additional that I want to build for the potential for me to retire early. And obviously, I do more substantial amounts when it comes to my retirement account. I always try to make that clear. My retirement portfolios, especially if I am getting an employer match at the time, those are my priority. And you should be striving to get those up to 15% between what you're contributing as well as what your employer matches. But just hearing me say those numbers, don't let that bother you. If you have to start off small, start where you are and then just continue building from there. So a core, I always make sure to have a core investment, and ETFs, whether they're more aggressive or those basic ones, I have those in my portfolio, but then I have additional stocks too. So I'm going to share a few of my gains when it comes to my investment portfolio. Let's start with VTI. So this is a total stock market investment. So I'm up 65% on my VTI shares that I hold in my growth portfolio. Now, that is one of my basic investments. Now, going on to take a look at those Mag 7 names that have earnings coming this week. My gains on Meta, very modest right now, just 4%. It's one of my smaller positions. And everything has a different starting point. And so, you know, just like if you got started investing into Apple, you're not going to get to the point where I'm at in a few months or a year. But everyone should just, know that you're running your own race. Don't compare yourself to anyone else and realize that you have to have an understanding of the potential growth, the longevity that these companies have, and then decide for yourself what you want to incorporate as far as individual names when it comes to your investments. So Meta, I'm up 4%. When it comes to Amazon, I'm up about 49%. And currently on Apple, I'm up 114%. But then on the other end of the spectrum, I have Microsoft in two portfolios, and I'm in the red on both of my Microsoft positions currently. And this is one of them. in my account over at MooMoo. I'm currently down 15% when it comes to Microsoft, but I'm okay with that. I'm still building, and I know what the company's future looks like. It's just a matter of them getting through this time period. And I was in this place at one time, even with Amazon, but I buy, I hold, and I let that company continue to improve. I keep on top of the fundamentals. Those are the steps you have to take in order to be comfortable holding individual stocks long term. And then, of course, I have that stability in the basket of stocks. For those of you that don't want to, dabble into those individual names, no excuses around here that there's not the right fit for an investment for you to get going with when it comes to your portfolio. Total stock market, S&P 500, that is a basic investment for anyone. All right. So thank you guys for tuning in. I see Fast Eddie, TWP, Tyrone, Jamie. Thank you everyone that's been chatting so far. Let me know if you have any questions or comments on what we're talking about this week. So that was a quick look at my performance when it comes to these companies. I do have shares in all of the Mag 7 when it comes to my portfolio. And some smaller than others, some more volatile than others. Tesla definitely has the biggest swings. Like I said, Microsoft is the only one that I'm currently down on. I would say Google is the one that I've been showing the strongest gains on, and it's not the one that I've held the longest. So out of the Mag 7 companies, Apple is the company I've been holding the longest, and my largest when it comes to my portfolio. I'm about at 60 shares when it comes to Apple. So do I own SMH? Yes, I do own SMH in one of my retirement accounts, and I will be giving an update on the portfolio that I have my SMH in sometime this week, because I'm going to be making an adjustment to that portfolio. Hello, Laney's Money Journey. Thank you for checking out the channel. Welcome in. All right. So with big tech having earnings, let's see what's going on with them. We have Microsoft, and we want to see if their cloud business continues to grow, and if the companies are all of the money that they're putting into AI. The investors need to see that all that spending is paying off. When it comes to Apple, their iPhone sales and new features when it comes to their devices are what people are anticipating, needing to see improvement as far as their AI integration. But it's a company, I always say that there's just huge brand loyalty, and once people get started, they get pulled in and most likely build upon what they have as far as the phone, the watch, the earbuds, the MacBook. And so they've had a lot of strength year after year, even alone just from the iPhone sales, but most likely you have more than that as you start to get pulled in, like I said. And then Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, WhatsApp, all of those apps, that family of apps. It's all about ad sales and how much money they're spending on tech, and how it in time, just like with many of these other companies, all that AI spending, we want to see it really help the company to continue to thrive. So what does this mean for our funds, and for someone like me? What does this mean for me who hold individual shares in these companies? We want to see those strong earnings when it comes to the numbers that they report. It doesn't always happen like that. And even when it does, sometimes, it would have to be significantly higher than what was expected to actually move and impact the market in a positive way. We just never know what to expect when it comes to earnings. But if we get those strong numbers, there's a potential that it could push up the market and give our index funds and ETFs a little boost. But on the other end, if they miss, you would think it always happens this way, but not necessarily. We could see a drop. But you have to be steady with your investing, and because there is so many big names reporting in this close time frame, if you are a long-term investor, and going back to what we touched on at the beginning of the show, that fear index kind of being in that shaky place, that showing us that investors are wary, you can use that as an opportunity to continue building on your long-term positions when it comes to your portfolio. So now let's take a look at some news when it comes to stock market related. I had a couple articles that I was looking at. Let's see what I have here. Try to make it a little bit bigger. So the House passes bill to restrict lawmakers' stock trading. This is something that we've heard a lot of in the news, especially under this administration. And uh, another thing that you could incorporate as a way to benefit your long-term portfolio, following what these lawmakers had been doing up until now. We'll see what happens if this bill gets passed. But the point of it is to restrict stock trading by these lawmakers. It's been a big thing. There's still a debate on what's going on, if they should be banned from trading altogether. But it's nice to see that at least they're keeping on top of this. They're trying to make strides to decide whether it's okay or not. But I think I have this. There are apps out there. There are definitely, this is Capital Trades. This is a site that you could use if you want to see what different politicians are trading. But you usually get the information a bit after the fact, because they have a certain time frame to report their trades within. But we've seen, whether it's Trump himself, his son, all these different big names. I see here Jim Himes at the top here, Democrat from Connecticut, all the different political affiliates. You can use a site like this to filter in and find out in what date range they were trading, whether it was a buy or a sell. So just a way of incorporating some potentially insider info to help to positively impact your portfolio, whether it's for trading or investing purposes. So, what do you guys think about the potential of them putting an end to restricting the lawmakers as far as trading? Excuse me. I did not bring any water up here, and I seem to need some. Let's try to mute. I don't want to blow you guys your ears out with my coughing near to the microphone. But these are just a few things that I wanted to touch on today. What have you guys been seeing going on in the market? Are you excited about this week? Are you feeling like it's going to be a lot of ups and downs that you're not going to enjoy seeing when it comes to your portfolio? A couple of other things I had here to chat about. I have this is, as I was showing earlier, we used to be always following the Mag 7. Before the Mag 7, we had the FANG stocks, but this is what's up and coming as far as the top companies that they think will be shifting to in the future. So OpenAI, not trading yet as a, individual company, but SpaceX is. I have not incorporated any SpaceX into my portfolio, or Anthropic is also up and coming. But as I shared, I do have Meta. I definitely have Nvidia. That's another one that I'm holding in two portfolios. I have that in one of my retirement accounts as well as in my taxable account. And then Google, as I mentioned, is probably definitely the standout as far as gains that I've achieved from being a buy and hold investor when it comes to it. And you never know when it comes to investing. Like I said, I've been investing into Apple for a longer time period than uh, the other companies there in the Mag 7, but uh, it's really had strong gains over the last few years. And so it was able to pull up my portfolio. So this is the companies having their earnings coming up this week on the 5-year time frame. And so it's only been for me like the last few years, maybe a little bit more than five, but uh, I was just getting started working full time when I was 19 years old. And so with that, I started contributing to a 401k. Not anything significant. It was based on my earnings, which were low throughout my all of my 20s until I did finish college, and then was able to progress into some roles that called for a degree and commanded a higher salary. But until then, I was still contributing to my 401k. But it wasn't until after getting laid off a few times that I decided to go back and take a handle of my 401ks from previous jobs. I decided to get a better understanding of how to build my portfolio. So, some of the accounts that I've shared through my videos are those accounts that I had from previous jobs that I then transferred or just reinvested the money once I was no longer with the company and had some flexibility on what I could invest into, um, as well as starting my own accounts, taxable accounts that I have the flexibility to tap into whenever I want to. I started trading. I opened a UTMA account for my daughter. So I over the last 5 to 10 years, I've really built on my knowledge and expanded when it comes to my finances, especially investing and trading. So I shared I'll go back to it again, but over the last 5 years, these are the gains on these individual companies. So we can see that Apple is up 128%. And then next up, Meta 67%. I only have a little modest 5% gain on it. That's one of the newest and smallest positions when it comes to my investments. And then Microsoft up 34%, but at the time period when I got started, yeah, I'm not there yet. I'm in the red. Amazon up 39%. So let me see if I can go back to where I was. I don't know. I probably can't share it at the same time, but yeah, these are my gains so far. So one thing with Apple that I definitely set myself back with is that I took a long break. I would say definitely over a year from investing into Apple. I had $120 average and I just didn't want to mess it up. And there's no such thing as messing it up when it comes to investing. But I had some things that I needed to work through over the years when it comes to my investing journey. So 120 average. Apple's current share price, we closed the week at 333. So it made no sense for me to be holding on to 120 average unless I was done with investing into it. I caused myself to get into that place where I thought I was done because I was enjoying seeing that nice average. But if anything, if you guys ever struggle with this, put some shares in a different portfolio. Find a way, especially if you do feel the conviction, if you've done your research, if it's a quality company, either, put those thoughts out of your minds about holding on to your average. The share price is too expensive for me. Um, I've been through these different emotions when it comes to building my portfolio. So I just like to share those little stories so that you can hopefully uh, shake it off like I was able to do over time and do it quicker. Or if you're not, if you, before you even run to it, maybe you can determine uh, that you're not gonna run into those same type of things like I do. So yeah, Stock Talk David is saying build up those shares, LOL. I remember watching him as he was building towards his 100 shares of Apple. And if I would have stayed consistent instead of taking that long break, I probably would have been there too. Okay, so the one I'm waiting for the lockout to end for SpaceX. Okay. And SpaceX holds major multi-billion-dollar agreements with the U.S. government. Yeah, I'm definitely waiting on SpaceX. I want to see how things shake out before I invest. For now, whatever little exposure I'm getting to my ETFs is that's how it's going to be. But it has dropped significantly from, there have been opportunities to get in for those of you that didn't get in at the actual IPO price, I think, which was like 135. But then by the time it hit the market, it was 165 going up towards 200. But, it came down below all of those points give give the potential for people to get in on it. Let's see. I don't know what is going on with this. I'm typing in SpaceX and it's not giving me SpaceX. Then it's giving me this. And this is not the one that I want. I don't know what's going on with Google Finance. It's been doing this lately, and that is not the version. I don't know if they updated on me and I don't get the version that I like anymore or what. So, yes, I could see it was 113, but I wanted to, well, actually, it says 115 right now. But I'm a little annoyed that I'm not able to get my charts the way that I used to. But anyways, yes, it was about 160 on that opening day and now down to 115. So to each his own. If this is the right place that you want to get in, it's not for me. Like the one mentioned, he's waiting for the lockout period to end. You have to decide if you want to wait a full 6 months and really let things shake out. Everyone has a different method about going about trading, investing, making, incorporating IPOs. That's something I've never even done when it comes to my portfolio. And I know people that have gotten in and out already on it. So, and, didn't allow their investment to drop down to below that initial price of the 160. So James, I'm not sure if it's James, because I'm not sure what am I supposed to do with the S and the H and the here. But you're asking, what do I think of Microsoft buy and hold? Buy, hold, or sell? I'm holding right now, but curious if people still think it's a buy. Uh, right now, I'm holding. I'm holding. I have two portfolios that I think I have enough of it. I'm it's one of those ones that I'm in the red on both of my positions right now, just because of the timing as to when I incorporated it. But Microsoft and Meta, I'm holding what I have. Um, Probably not going to build on the positions that I have into uh, Microsoft. I'm just going to be holding on. But I believe in the company. I believe in their long term growth and potential and the amount of years going forward that they have locked in with all of the contracts that they have going forward. There are many good aspects about the company for long term. The stock price may not show it today, but in time, I think it will turn around. And that's why I incorporated even more this year into my portfolio. So, but I will share, I usually try to share them at the end of my videos. Uh, a technical breakdown. You know, you have to figure out what's right for yourself. But anyone who's going to be incorporating individual stocks, there are certain points that can, you should, opinion, take the time to stay on top of, like what is the PE, what is the forward PE, an indication that can tell you where's the company at now and is it in expected to improve. Um, the revenue growth. You want to see that that's strong, you know? And with Microsoft, it is. And then, you know, low debt. And is it a thriving company? I don't really invest into penny stocks. Like I said, the companies I have, all of the Mag 7 in my portfolio. Outside of that, it's going to be other big names, AMD, like Taiwan Semi. Um, but I don't try to, you know, choose I'm not gonna feel like I'm missing out. I'm not gonna get stressed about, well, I don't have any of that in my portfolio. It has been doing, terrific. But that's one that after having my, a few of those semiconductor companies in my portfolio, then I started that position into SMH. And so I'm settling, or not settling, I've decided to go in that direction as far as getting exposure there. So that's thanks. I'm in the red too, but think it will, yes. Um, and time will tell. For me, I'm only holding on, and it's not anything I would ever cut from my portfolio in the red. It's not bothering me, and that I think that's where position size and comes. I've never, even when years ago when I started building into even Amazon. If you look back to some of my older videos, I sometimes go into my YouTube studio and I ask for a summary of that I was sharing in my older videos when it comes to uh, ETFs as well as those individuals. I'm surprised by the gains, how small my gains were at the time. But, I do that so that I can inspire myself and reference back to it in my journey through what I'm sharing in my videos, if you know what I'm saying. So, yes, we all wish that things just shot right up, but I was patient with my Google investment and it's turned out well, and several other things in my portfolio. AMD doesn't have the technical fundamentals, but it went from $200 to 500, just short time span. So Stock Talk David is saying that he cut some of his Microsoft and put it into QQQM. Okay, okay. So yeah, you have to make that decision yourself. If you deal with the lag and the volatility of individual stocks, that's when you can decide to lean more heavily into your ETFs. I definitely have done that too. But yeah, I haven't been inclined to decrease as far as any Mag 7 names. Over the years, a few things that I have sold, I sold all of my Ford. It wasn't a significant position, but Ford, it just wasn't doing anything for me. It pays a dividend, but it was just moving from 10 to like $18. It did not have the role, didn't deserve a role when it comes to my growth portfolio. And then Disney and Target have been ones that I've been talking about for years now, things that I could have left out of my portfolio because they have not, during the time frame that I invested in, been thriving investments. So, but going forward, I built upon my knowledge, so I'll know what I want for the long term. So, and if something is speculative, or I feel I've been keeping up with the news, the fundamentals, like with Target, I wasn't that in tune with how drastic of a turn things could head for it. And it was just one thing after another. Same thing right now. I'm struggling with having that patience when it comes to my net investment, but I'm going to hold on to that one. I don't want to have to sell my target at a loss. At least it pays a steady dividend and it's not a significant position. So it seems like all the times when I have something in my portfolio that uh, didn't quite meet the test of being a long-term hold, the position size never got that large as compared to those Mag 7 companies and other true blue chip names like my Taiwan Semi and AMD, for example. So, all right, I'm taking a look at the chat. Do you have any questions or comments? But those are the points that I wanted to touch on today. And I'm ready for it. I don't really dabble in option trading related to because not for the risk level that could be associated with it. I don't, it's not a risk reward thing for me. And so I dabble with small contracts when it comes to earnings plays. But guys, thank you for tuning in this week. Let me drop any questions or comments that you have. And be on the lookout. Have that notification bell on. If you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel or checking out some of my other videos and live streams to determine if you enjoy this content. But this is what we talk about over here. It's investing, all things money related, a little bit of credit cards and budgeting and things like that from time to time, but a lot of ETFs, long-term investing, focusing on planning for retirement, um, all things that are a part of my personal financial journey right now. So I'm going to wrap it up for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. always feel free to leave me any questions or comments after the live stream and on any video that I have posted. If there's something that you're looking for and can't find, I can definitely direct you to it, or your question or comment could be a start to something that I share in future live streams or in a future video. So I will see you guys soon. Keep an eye on my community tab for updates on what is going on, if there's ever any live stream weeks that I'm not doing, and all things going on Lisa J Stocks channel. Thanks for watching. Okay.
And to investments, she make a lot on YouTube. Lisa J Stocks. Lisa J Stocks, that's the channel. Hey. If you wanna make some money, visit Lisa J Stocks. Yeah. You will make a lot. If you wanna make some money, visit Lisa J Stocks. Okay. She'll make it pop. If you wanna make some money, visit Lisa J Stocks.